Welcome back to the channel. It was October 1983. The kind of cold that gets under your skin, making you feel like you've been outside even when you haven't left the couch. Had just gotten home from my shift at the post office. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the fridge. I kicked off my shoes, loosened my tie, and poured a whiskey out the phone on the wall, an old cream-colored rotary. With a tangled cord sat in its cradle. Then it rang. 3 short bursts. Not the long, patient rings I was used to. Quick, urgent doubt. I picked it up. Hello? A pause. Then, Michael? The sound hit me like a punch to the chest. It was my sister's voice. Not kind of like hers. Not similar. It was her. Emily? My mouth went dry. I need your help, she whispered. Her voice was trembling. Please, come get me. The line hissed with static. Beneath it, I heard something else, footsteps echoing in a long corridor. A faint groan, metal scraping on metal dot. My heart pounded. Emily, where are you? There was a pause. Then she said one word, Brookhaven. The line went dead. Emily had been dead for 11 years. She was 19 when she died in a car accident in the summer of 1972. I had been the one to identify her body. I carried her coffin at the funeral. There was no doubt in my mind it was her voice. I called the operator, asking if the number could be traced. After a long silence, the operator came back, sounding unsettled. The call originated from Brookhaven State Asylum, Kings County. Brookhaven had been shut down in 1968 after a fire in one of the wards killed 17 patients and 2 staff members. The building had no power, no phones. It had been abandoned for 15 years. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with a pot of coffee, flipping through old newspaper clippings I kept in a box under my bed. Stories about Emily's death, the accident report, her high school yearbook photo. But around 3 in the morning, I started looking up Brookhaven. I found articles about overcrowding, abuse allegations, patients kept in solitary for months. There were rumors of unmarked graves behind the East Wing. One name kept coming up in multiple articles. Dr. Rinehart, the chief psychiatrist at the time of the fire. A man known for experimental treatment methods, but often crossed into cruelty. The fire had started in the basement, though no one could agree on how. And here's the thing, according to survivor accounts, the basement was where they kept the patients they wanted the public to forget about. At 4:17 a.m., the phone rang again, 3 short bursts. I answered before the first ring fully ended. Emily? No reply. Just breathing. Then a male voice I didn't recognize. She's waiting in the dark. The line clicked dead. I didn't go back to sleep. By morning, I knew I had to go. The police brushed me off when I called Kings County, saying the building was sealed and inaccessible. They chalked it up to a prank call, but I knew better. I told work I needed 2 days off. Packed a flashlight, batteries, my old Polaroid, a thermos of coffee, and my father's hunting knife, just in case. It took me 4 hours to drive down. The roads were lined with skeletal trees, their branches clawing at the gray sky. When Brookhaven came into view, my stomach turned. The brick walls were blackened with fire damage, windows shattered, roof partially collapsed in places. The front gate hung open. The padlock was gone. Inside the lobby, my flashlight beam swept across peeling paint, rusted wheelchairs, and water-stained walls. The smell was a mix of mold and something metallic coppery. And there it was, mounted on the wall. Near the far corridor, a black rotary phone. The cord was intact. The surface was clean, as if someone had been using it. I picked it up. No dial tone, just silence. Then faintly, Michael. I dropped it. The receiver swung wildly on its cord, exploring the East Wing. I moved through the East Wing, past rooms with overturned beds and graffiti. Some of the graffiti wasn't painted, was dark, dried. and streaked in patterns that didn't look random. In one room, a single chair sat facing the wall. On the seat was a tape recorder. I pressed play. It was Emily's voice. "You shouldn't be here." Then screaming. I shut it off. Further down, I found the children's ward. The wallpaper had once been colorful clowns, balloons, but now it was faded, peeling, and stained. Tiny metal beds lined the walls. Most had restraints. One bed still had a doll lying on it, its porcelain face cracked, one glass eye missing. As I passed, the doll's head slowly turned toward me. I left the ward quickly. The records room was filled with filing cabinets, most overturned. But one desk stood untouched, with an old typewriter on it. It was typing by itself. The paper read, "You can't help aged basement stairs," groaned under my weight. The air grew colder, damp, and thick. I followed the sound of Emily's voice until I reached a heavy iron door. Inside, a single bulb flickered above a payphone on the wall. The handset dangled. I lifted it. "Emily?" Her breathing was quick. "They're coming." The bulb went out, shuffling feet, breathing. Thin, hunched figures stepped just into the edge of my flashlight beam. Faces wrapped in stained bandages, heads tilted. One whispered in a guttural voice, "She's not your sister anymore." Others began chanting, voices overlapping, "Stay, stay." I backed away, slipping on the wet floor. My flashlight beam landed on the wall, my name carved into it, dozens of times. I stumbled into another corridor and found the morgue. The cold storage drawers were still there, most hanging open. From inside one, I heard the phone ringing. 3 short bursts. I pulled the drawer open. A black rotary phone sat inside. I answered. This time, it wasn't Emily's voice. It was mine. "Michael, don't leave." I don't remember running out of the building, but I remember the feeling of sunlight hitting my face. I drove until the asylum was miles behind me. That night, my phone rang again. 3 short bursts. I let it ring. 2 weeks later, the sheriff's office told me they searched Brookhaven. They found no phones anywhere in the building, but they did find a Polaroid in the basement. Thought it was me. Holding the phone. It's been 40 years. I've moved 3 times. Changed my number twice. Last night, the phone rang again. 3 short bursts, and when I answered, it was Emily's voice. She said just one thing, "Welcome home." I thought leaving Brookhaven would end it, that maybe all I had to do was walk away. But the calls followed me. 2 days after I came back, I was shelving packages at work when the phone at the front desk rang. Our receptionist picked it up, froze, and handed it to me. They asked for you," she whispered. I took it. "Hello?" It was Emily's voice. "Michael, why did you leave me?" The line cracked with static, then filled with the sound of many voices murmuring at once, like a crowd in a church. Then silence. When I looked up, every clock in the post office read 3:17 p.m., but my watch still said 11:42. That night, I dug deeper into the asylum's history. Dr. Harold Rinehart was notorious for something called telephone therapy, an experimental treatment where patients were forced to speak to recordings of themselves or their deceased relatives in the belief it would correct delusional thinking. He would play these recordings over and over, sometimes for days, without stopping. Patients reported hearing the voices long after the machines were turned off. Some of them swore the voices started answering back. 3 days later, I was walking home when I passed an old payphone outside a shuttered diner. It rang. 3 short bursts. Nobody else on the street reacted. I picked it up. "Michael, you're late," Emily's voice said. Then I heard footsteps behind me, bare feet slapping the pavement. I spun around. The street was empty. When I turned back, the payphone was gone. I decided to go back. Not because I wanted to, but because the calls wouldn't stop. This time I brought bolt cutters, rope, and my friend Peter, who had once worked as a contractor. He thought I was crazy, but agreed to come just to prove it's all in your head. The asylum looked worse than before, more windows shattered, the air heavy with rain. We entered through the east wing again. The smell was stronger. The first thing we noticed was that the lobby phone was gone, completely removed from the wall. But there was a perfect, clean outline where it had hung, like it had been taken hours ago. Peter found a heavy steel door at the end of the main corridor, rusted shut. We forced it open with a crowbar. Inside was the experimental wing, place not mentioned in any of the official reports I'd read. Rows of soundproof booths lined the hall, each with a single chair and a telephone inside. Every phone was black, identical to the one I'd answered in my apartment. In one booth, the phone receiver was off the hook. It was humming. I picked it up and heard Emily's voice, clearer than ever. "You shouldn't have brought him." I looked at Peter. His face was pale. "Who the hell is that?" Then the lights in the booth snapped on by themselves, every booth. Inside each one sat a figure, bandaged like the ones I'd seen in the basement, their heads slowly turning toward us. We bolted out and ended up in a room filled with reel-to-reel tape machines, all running. The reels spun endlessly, even though none were plugged in. The tapes played voices, hundreds of them, crying, laughing, whispering. One of them was my own voice, begging for help. I yanked the tape from the machine, but the voice kept playing, now louder. We tried to leave through the children's ward, but something had changed. The beds were no longer empty. Figures were lying under the sheets, small ones. One of them sat up. It was a little girl, maybe 8 years old, with pale gray skin and eyes too big for her face. She tilted her head. "You're not supposed to be here until tomorrow." Peter muttered something and ran. I followed until I realized I couldn't hear his footsteps anymore. I searched the halls for an hour, calling his name. Nothing. In the lobby, I saw something new, a Polaroid tacked to the wall. It showed Peter standing in the basement, holding the payphone receiver. I tore it down and left. Peter was never seen again. After that, the calls came at all hours. Sometimes 3 short bursts, sometimes just one long, unbroken ring that went on for minutes. Once, I unplugged my home phone. At 2:14 a.m., it rang anyway. I answered. It was Emily again. "They won't let you hang up this time." On my third visit, I found the admin office where they kept fire incident reports. The official story was that faulty wiring had caused the blaze. But the papers I found told a different story. Patients claimed to see a man made of smoke walking the halls before the fire broke out. One survivor swore that Dr. Rinehart had been talking to someone on the basement payphone minutes before the fire began, and that there were no phone lines running to the basement. Behind the admin office was a narrow hallway lined with mirrors, all cracked out. As I walked past, my reflection stayed perfectly still, even when I moved. Then it spoke. "Answer the next call, and you won't have to come back." On my final trip to Brookhaven, I brought gasoline. My plan was to burn the place down, phone lines or not. But when I reached the basement, the payphone was waiting for me, shiny new, as if it had just been installed. It rang. 3 short bursts. I picked it up. This time, it wasn't Emily. It wasn't me. It was Peter. They said, "You can stay this time." And then I heard footsteps behind me, bare feet. Many of them. The phone cord wrapped around my wrist, tightening until my fingers went numb. The light went out. I woke up in my apartment. Everything seemed normal. Until the phone rang. 3 short bursts. When I answered, it was my own voice. "Welcome home, Dr. Rinehart."